U.S. Coast Guard investigators now say the Titan submersible implosion was in fact preventable. That finding released today in a wide-ranging, damning 300-plus page report investigating that deadly dive that killed all 5 who were on board. The report stating here that OceanGate failed to build a vessel that could withstand the pressure of its dive down to the wreckage of the Titanic, blaming a profit over safety work environment. And a dozen and more reasons for the disaster, including significant damage found on the carbon fiber hull during previous dives. This video right here shows when the OceanGate employees heard a bang at the moment of implosion. It took more than 7 hours before authorities were notified the Titan was off radar and missing. That report also detailing efforts the company took to avoid any regulatory oversight or criticism.
He said I would buy a congressman and make basically the problems would go away.
The Coast Guard says OceanGate's founder and CEO, Stockton Rush, could have been criminally charged had he survived. OceanGate releasing a statement here offering its deepest condolences to the victim's family.
An Everett company is marking a grim milestone this week. The OceanGate Titan submersible imploded a year ago as it descended towards the Titanic wreckage in the North Atlantic. KOMO's Lee Stoll has the latest on the investigation, which is now delayed.
We were exactly here a year ago, hoping that a rescue mission launched for the submersible would find it and that everyone would be okay, but it turned into a recovery mission, unfortunately. And now we're learning the investigation into what happened. A report that we were expecting by this point is delayed by several months.
According to a statement from the U.S. Coast Guard, their investigation into the fatal dive of the Titan submersible is a complex and ongoing effort. Initially, investigators expected a report to be released with their findings within a year of the disaster. That will now be delayed. 5 people were killed when the OceanGate submersible imploded. Company CEO Stockton Rush was among them.
The sentence, "we lost comm," I think that would be a sentence I would never want to hear in my life again.
The Coast Guard is giving 2 reasons for the delay: the need to contract 2 salvage missions to secure vital evidence and the extensive forensic testing required. OceanGate started taking tourists down to the Titanic on a one-of-a-kind submersible years ago. This was their first safety emergency. OceanGate immediately suspended exploration and commercial operations.
We've learned the Maritime Board handling this investigation now plans to hold a public hearing about their findings by the end of the year. In Everett, I'm Lee Stoll, KOMO News.
Well, thank you for having me. It's so interesting. You know, we've been here for 2 weeks and we've heard unbelievable testimony, really shocking details about conversations that Rush had with past associates, former employees. Many people came forward and wanted to talk about these conversations, you know, and they alleged that Rush was trying to avoid regulations with this Titan, that he was looking for a ways around inspection, not flagging it. A lot of things that are just what all of these vessels have to go through. So it was incredibly disturbing for them to hear. So what this Marine Board of Investigation needs to do now with all of these allegations that he was somehow playing this rogue game with people's lives when they were going down in this vessel, they now need to go back and follow that thread and figure out, is there any truth to these allegations? And if it is, who would also know about what was going on in these operations? There were so many red flags and alarm bells that Stockton Rush would have known that something was terribly wrong with the Titan vessel. Now, this is a vessel that had made over a dozen dives already to the Titanic. There were reports that were problems all along. So one of the questions, of course, is who else would have known this kind of information? Who else was paying attention besides Stockton Rush, who was the pilot? But of course, Rush passed away in this horrible accident. So now the question is anybody else libel. Now, the OceanGate lawyers were there the whole time. They were asking a lot of questions. They were going back and cross-examining these witnesses. So obviously, they're paying very close attention to what their liability looks like. Now, what can happen next is that the Marine Board of Investigation will make their recommendations. They should come out in the next year. If they found enough in their investigation, enough evidence to go for a criminal prosecution, they're going to recommend it to the Department of Justice if it's warranted. But that is a lot to ask. Today, we also heard some of these kind of wrapping up thoughts that they're having right now. And one of them is that they need to rewrite the book on search and rescue. And that's what they're doing right now. They've never in their history that they could remember have a subsurface search and rescue operation that they had to carry out. Now, we're talking about actually having to go thousands of meters down, picking up a submarine, hoping that the passengers are still in there alive and bringing it back up to the surface. This is a completely unprecedented operation for the Coast Guard. They believe that they learned a lot of valuable lessons. They leveraged all of their resources, and that this has actually brought the community together for an international type of operation. They can really leverage these kind of operations from all over the world, which is exactly what they did.